Hello friends, welcome to our paper globe craft tutorial. For this one, in your kit you have paper circles. You're going to need 20 of them for each globe. You have more than that, so pull out 20 that you like and start with that. You have your template. You've got a circle here to make more circles if you want to make even more of these. These are really cute if you make them out of old books. Old book pages look really nice made into these paper globes. And we're about to make our triangle template on the rest of this red paper. Additionally, to make your template, you're going to need a ruler, and I recommend a pencil. I'm using a marker just so that you can see it, but use a pencil just in case. And you're gonna need some scissors, and then to make the globe itself, you're gonna need some glue. I like a glue stick for this because it's easier to use. You can also use regular like Elmer's white glue or school glue. Just make sure that you're not using a ton of it. So if you're using Elmer's glue, you might want like a small paintbrush to brush it on instead of using the bottle and squeezing it on. All right, we're gonna start with our template. So for now, we will put aside our circles and our glue, and we'll put aside our scissors because we're not quite cutting yet. So these globes, what we're going to want for them is an equilateral triangle, which means all three sides and all three angles are the same. Now, most of the time when you learn to draw this in school, you learn to do it with a compass. If you don't have one of those, or you want to do it kind of the easy way, you can do it like this. So we want our sides to each be 2 inches because we have 2-inch circles. So I will draw a line using my ruler that is 2 inches long. And then I'm gonna find the middle of that line. With a 2-inch line, it's easy. We're gonna make a mark at 1 inch. Oop. My 2-inch line didn't draw. Try again. There we go, much better. So we've got my 2-inch line with a 1-inch mark. Next thing I'm gonna do is take my ruler and I'm gonna line it up so that I know this is going to be a straight line straight up. And the way that I do that is make sure that my ruler is lined up with my 2-inch line, and there's a good square right angle there. And I draw my line. I'm gonna just draw it as high up as I can. This is way higher than I need it to be, and that's good. Then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my ruler and I'm going to put the 0 starting point, which is not always at the very end of the ruler, so watch out for that. I'm gonna put that on this end of my line, and then I'm going to swing my ruler, keeping my 0 on that tip. I'm gonna swing my ruler until the 2-inch line hits that center line. And I'm gonna draw my line there. And that gives us our first side. And then I'm just gonna double check and make sure that my 2-inch line and my 0 line up with here and here, and that that's actually 2 inches. And voila, you have drawn an equilateral triangle that is 2 inches. So from now on, we won't need the ruler. You can put that aside. I'm gonna cut this out. And hold on to this paper even after you've cut out your triangle. Not only does it have your circle shape and size in it, it now also has, if you cut carefully, you can didn't cut all the way to the corner. There we go. You can tape this back shut, and then you can trace this if you ever need a new triangle. I like to make my stencil out of heavier paper. I sent you some cardstock. You can always also use cardboard. Just make sure it's not too thick, because that will change what we're about to do. So I'm going to put my template aside. I don't need that anymore. And we're going to start working with our circles. For each circle, you take one, you put your triangle on the circle. Oh. And it should fit pretty well. It might be a little bit bigger than your circle. That's okay. And you just want to fold your circle up around your triangle so that your circle also becomes a triangle. Ta-da! And then you do that 20 more times. I am not going to film myself doing this 20 more times. I'm gonna turn off the camera and do this, and then I will come back and show you how to glue these all together to make your how to glue these all together. That's a good place to end that editing, Heather. Note. All right, I'm back. I've got my circles all folded into triangles. I've got my glue. I've separated my circles into 3 groups, 2 of 5 and 1 of 10. We're gonna work on each group separately and then combine them. What we're going to be doing is making what's called a dodecahedron. And you can kind of break that word down into its pieces to figure out what it means. So do, like dose, means 2. And dec means 10, like decimal, because decimals are always divided by 10. And hedron means a 3D shape. So a dodecahedron is a 3D shape with 20 sides. If you play D&D or you've ever seen anything about D&D, that will sound familiar. It's the same shape as a 20-sided dice. So we're not actually making a sphere. What makes this look like a sphere instead of this shape, which is almost a sphere but definitely has corners and sides, what makes this, gives this the optical illusion of being a sphere is these curved sides on our triangles. So that is what makes this look extra cool. So yeah, dodecahedron. If you ever are making one of these and you forget kind of how to arrange them, you can always pull out a 20-sided die or a picture of a 20-sided die and look at it and say, oh right, that's how those sides are arranged. We'll put that aside. Alrighty, let's work with our first group of 5. They've actually, as I'm moving them around, have arranged themselves pretty much like how we're going to glue them together. We're gonna make the top of our shape first. So we're gonna take these and glue them with the points all facing in. And that is gonna make us a little kind of wheel or flower shape for the top. Let's start gluing. So I like to hit the side and then line it up and glue it together. You want to be pretty precise and neat with these. The neater you are when you're starting, the easier it's going to be when you're finishing to create your final shape. It doesn't have to be like perfect. You don't have to worry if it's not super perfect, but you want it to look pretty good. And then we just keep adding pieces. The last one can be a little bit tricky. I like to put the glue on both sides before I start and then just slide it in there. So take this and put glue on one side, two sides, and line it up here. Close it and line it up there. And you'll notice this doesn't make a flat shape. It's a little bit domed, sticking up. It looks a little like a flower. So we've got 5 going around kind of like the spokes of a wheel, and it will end up looking like that. That's your top and or bottom, because we're going to do the exact same thing with this group of 5, which have kindly arranged themselves for me. We're gonna do that all again. So I'll fast forward it in with movie magic, and I'll see you in a second. Ta-da! There we go. 2 caps. They're so cute. Put those over there. The middle 10 we're going to make into a strip that will then join into a circle / tube kind of a deal. I want to arrange these ahead of time because I know that sometimes I get myself thrown off. So if you arrange these so that there's an end at the bottom and a point at the top and put them next to each other facing straight up, you'll notice that there's space right there to put another one with the point facing down. So basically you're going to glue them so it goes edge down, point down, edge down, point down, all the way across these 10. I line them up ahead of time because what you don't want to end up doing is losing your spot and all of a sudden doing point down, point down, point down, point down, edge up, edge up, edge up, edge up, because you'll end up with another lid and you've got your 2 lids, you don't need another one. So I lay them out ahead of time so that I can remember exactly what I'm doing. You don't have to do that. I also use this time to just make sure that I like how they're arranged, patterns and colors wise. I don't want to put anything that's too similar next to each other. That's just the way I like to do this. If you like to have them all matching, that's fun too. Whatever you decide, I like to kind of arrange them like this. So we'll just go across. You can actually see, speaking of, I made a mistake here while I was cutting out my circle, and clipped off a bit of the side. That doesn't matter. In the big shape, you'll see it, like you'll see that there's white showing right there, but it's not anything like the end of the world. The first few are the hardest to remember which way we're going, whether we're making a circle or a line. But once you get in the zone, you're good. So secretly, while we've been making this, you guys have learned a whole ton of geometry, which is kind of cool. You've figured out equilateral triangles by drawing one. You are working in 3 dimensions, making a polyhedron. Polyhedron is any 3D shape with more than 2 sides. Well, which a 3D shape has to have more than 2 sides. Even if it's super thin, like a sheet of paper, technically this paper has height and length and width. So you've made a polyhedron. You are doing all kinds of cool stuff. And you can stroll into math class after break, and when your teacher says, oh, what did you guys spend your break doing? You can say, oh, I was constructing polyhedrons out of equilateral triangles. And your math teacher will be duly impressed, I promise. All right, give all your joins a squeeze. Make sure that they're gonna stay nice and firm. If you want, you can give this a little bit of time to dry. And if you're using school glue, I recommend that you give this some time to dry, just because it tends to be a little more slippery than a glue stick. All right, last bit. You can see we've got an edge at the top at this end and a point at the top at this end. That's perfect. We're gonna slap some glue on the end, and then we're going to take it and curve it around so that you have a tube slash circle, ta-da, all the way around. Now comes the part that's a little bit finicky, but it's not too hard. We're gonna glue our caps, boom, like this. This is up to your preference how you like to do it. I like to add my glue to all my tabs before I start. If you think that's a little messy, you can do them one at a time. Doesn't matter. And I line up my first one and squeeze, 2, 3. The other good thing about the glue stick is if you mess up and it hasn't quite dried yet, you can peel them back apart. They make special heavy-duty like scrapbooking glue sticks for stuff like this. I don't think you need one, but if you have one at your house, it might be worth looking at. And there you can, if you look down in, you can see how it's actually a shape with sides, but if you flip it over, you see how those curves kind of give you the illusion of a round object. It's kind of cool. All right, last cap. Like I said at the beginning of the video, you have enough paper to make more than one of these. You can make them with smaller circles. You'll just need to draw yourself a smaller triangle to go with them. And it'll make a smaller ball. You can make them bigger, whatever you want to do. The best paper for these, what I've given you, is scrapbook paper. That works really well. anything that's got a little bit of weight to it. I wouldn't try to do this with notebook paper or very thin paper, just because you're kind of expecting it to hold itself in the shape a little bit, and to take a fold really well. Origami paper works great for these. And like I said before, I've made these out of book paper. I'll try to drop a couple pictures of those into the video right here. They look really cool. And there you have it. Ta-da! A beautiful dodecahedral globe made out of paper. I hope you guys enjoyed making these. I hope that you have a lot of fun with them. These are great if you have a needle and a thread. You can push a needle right through. You can also see there are some gaps at the corners where they don't quite meet up. You can string these onto a piece of yarn or twine and make a garland. You can use them as hanging ornaments, and depending on what color you make them, they can be great for any time of year. Hope you had a lot of fun. I hope you make a ton of these and send me lots of pictures, because I love these things. And I will see you next time. Bye.